A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, untold parts of the story are revealed, and it's time for a rebellion. In Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Hello everyone, it's me, Ben Maiden, and welcome to this latest edition of Entertainment Zone. I'm here today for my review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, directed by Gareth Edwards. So this is the first spin-off film from Star Wars, and what an outing it is for this anthology series. Now, for those of you who don't know, Rogue One sees a group of rebels band together to steal the plans for the Death Star. Now, this is of course a prequel movie taking place not too long before the original Star Wars movie, Episode 4, A New Hope. In the beginning of that film, we see Princess Leia sending the plans to the Death Star off with R2-D2. And now it's the time to find out just how the rebels got those plans. The film has a phenomenal cast. I want to start off with that. Honestly, you just couldn't ask for better. So we have, as the villain, Orson Krennic, we have Ben Mendelsohn, who is great in his role. We'll get more to Krennic in a moment. We have Mads Mikkelsen, who is just a freaking legend. I love Mads Mikkelsen, and he plays the role of Galen Erso, who he is responsible for the creation of the Death Star and plays a very important part to the story, as does his daughter, the main character of the film, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones. However, there's also a great supporting cast in this film too. We have Forrest Whitaker as the rebel Saw Gerrera. Now, for those of you who have seen the animated series Star Wars Clone Wars, you will be fully aware who Saw Gerrera is, and it was great seeing him brought literally to life in the flesh by Forrest Whitaker. Did a great job. We've got Diego Luna in the film as Cassian Andor, who's kind of like the leader of the rebels, or this little sect of rebels, when Jyn first kind of meets them. There's a new droid in the film, K2SO. I didn't find him as funny as previous droids, but he is the comic relief of the movie. I think a lot will love him, and he's played by Alan Tudyk. He has some good moments. Don't get me wrong, he was funny, but not as funny as some of the other droids. There's Chirrut Imwe, played by Donnie Yen, who is a Force-sensitive blind man who, for me, stole the movie. A lot of people saying K2SO, but for me, Chirrut Imwe, I thought just he was so cool. As is his aide Baze, played by Wen Zhang. And we can't also forget Riz Ahmed as well, who plays Bodhi Rook. He's a defective pilot from the Empire who kind of gets the story going and brings the band of rebels together unknowingly. And there's some returning characters in the film too, including Bail Organa, once again played by Jimmy Smits. And we see Mon Mothma back, played by Genevieve O'Reilly. Earlier I mentioned Orson Krennic as well, and I thought Ben Mendelsohn was good as Krennic. I liked the way that he kind of had this self-importance and arrogance around him, but as the overall villain, I didn't find him as imposing or intimidating as he could be, especially not compared to previous villains like Grand Moff Tarkin or Darth Vader or Darth Maul. Don't get me wrong, Mendelsohn was good, but not the best Star Wars villain. Felicity Jones was awesome as a leading lady. I thought Jyn was such a likeable character. You really feel her plight. You feel the bond of this group coming together. They start on uneasy, distrusting ground, and the way they come together, it's just really well done. It's a really well written film. I've got to give the folks at Disney that. So it was phenomenal. It really is just an awesome cast. And of course, as the trailers have made very clear, Darth Vader is in the movie. James Earl Jones is back doing the voice. I'll tell you this, if you're seeing the film just for Vader, be aware he isn't in it much, but when he is in it, he is freaking awesome. We have some amazing Darth Vader scenes in this movie. And actually, on about how well written it is, I liked how well it ties into A New Hope. Without giving too much away, it is pretty seamless, and you can tell that Gareth Edwards and the screenwriters of the movie too really know their Star Wars lore, and they appreciate it, and they've crafted a really fine screenplay, and that comes across on the finished product on the big screen. I did see the film in 3D. I didn't think the 3D added much where I did in The Force Awakens. However, I saw this in regular 3D, not IMAX 3D, so it might look a bit cooler in IMAX. In fact, I think, seeing it on IMAX, just the scale of it being a war film would be pretty cool, especially when you have like the AT-ATs on the beach in Scarif and stuff. I just think that will be freaking awesome on a massive screen. So if you're gonna go for 3D, I'd probably say try it in IMAX 3D. Otherwise, probably a regular 2D would suffice. So we get treated to a whole range of planets in this film. Beautiful locations, especially Scarif, which is like a coastal beach planet. But we see a whole range of other planets too. And Gareth Edwards, I mean, I loved his film Monsters. I wasn't so struck on Godzilla, but I knew that Gareth Edwards had a keen eye. Visually, all his films are amazing. And he's at his very best now with Rogue One. Something else I've got to say about Rogue One is that it puts the wars in Star Wars. It is a big, grand-scale war movie, both on the planets and in space. This is a spectacle to behold. And it's a lot darker than previous entries of the Star Wars saga. And I think for that reason, some very younger viewers maybe shouldn't be seeing this film, because it is dark. It's not afraid to go places that get darker and darker. And for me, this was a fresh change. It's not as light-hearted or as comedic as other Star Wars films has been. It is a very serious film. The special effects in it are amazing. We have a mix of practical and CGI, which Gareth has done really well. Continuing on from the work done by J.J. Abrams, he brought a lot of practical stuff into the film, as has Gareth Edwards. We do have some CGI characters in here. I'm not going to say too much about this. We'll talk about that in the spoilers. One of them looked great, the other not so much, but we'll get to that. There are a lot of cool Easter eggs that hardcore Star Wars fans are going to pick up on and love, I assure you of that. I've got to say, the film's pacing, it does start off a little slow. It takes about 50 minutes before it really does get going. There's a lot of setup and exposition to have, and introduction of a lot of cool characters, but once things get in motion, there is just no stopping this film. It's freaking, it's a roller coaster ride right to the final frame of the movie. This really is the prequel that the original trilogy deserved, and for me, anyone who is a fan of Star Wars is not going to be disappointed by this. I really do assure you that. So, where would I rate it in the Star Wars saga? Pretty high. I was thinking about, is it better than Force Awakens or not? I enjoyed Force Awakens more personally. However, they're two very different movies. I kind of feel like they shouldn't be compared. They're very different in style and in tone. And Rogue One is a testament to what can be achieved to expand the Star Wars universe. So hats off to Gareth Edwards and Disney for making this amazing film. It's going to be interesting now to see how these anthology movies expand going forward. So I'm going to give this film, I'm going to say 4 out of 5. I'm going to say 4 out of 5, purely because of the little bit of pacing issues at the beginning, but other than that, it's a great ride. Your emotions are going to be all over the place, and this delivers something fresh to Star Wars, something new, both in terms of storyline and visually and creatively. And it's also got enough fan service in that will appease the hardcore fans without feeling like too much fan service or too much of a rehash, which I know some people felt about Force Awakens. So if you haven't seen the film, now's probably a good time to stop watching, because I'm going to get into a little bit of spoiler discussion. But once you have seen it, come back and let me know in the comments what you thought. So we're going to go into spoiler territory now. So this is your spoiler warning. Okay, if you're still watching, then prepare to be spoiled. Okay, so first off, let's talk about Darth Vader. Wasn't in the movie much, but when he was, as I said, freaking fantastic. Darth Vader in the Bacta tank was cool to see. You know, that was like, oh wow. And his first appearance in the film with the in the costume, with his standoff against Orson Krennic, that was really cool. That was really, really cool. You could see that Krennic just kind of underestimates Vader, and this is Vader at his prime, and he's taking no nonsense off anyone. And of course, we've got to talk about that badass scene at the end where he literally wipes out the rebels. When he lit that lightsaber up, I was like, oh yes, shit is going down. And it was just so awesome seeing Vader do what he does best. Now, I mentioned earlier in the review as well some CGI characters, and I'm talking, of course, about Grand Moff Tarkin and Princess Leia. I really enjoyed how they tied the film up to A New Hope, and by having Leia in at the end, and I thought Leia looked fantastic, the CGI on her, maybe because there wasn't too much. When she first turned around, I actually thought, is that Billie Lourd, you know, playing her mother's role? And then I was like, oh my God, no, that is actually a CGI younger Carrie Fisher. I was like, this looks incredible. Now, Grand Moff Tarkin, on the other hand, when he stands still and doesn't speak, I was like, yeah, okay, he does look like Peter Cushing. But when he's moving around and talking, I found the CGI not good enough. It was kind of a bit like something out of Polar Express. It was good CGI, but not great. The film had cameos in as well from C-3PO and R2-D2, which was great. Only a very quick one, but that was awesome. And I want to talk about the fact that this film actually had the balls to kill off every single one of its main characters. I think we kind of knew that was going to happen. But yeah, I was pretty devastated. Jyn and Cassian's death at the end was very, very touching. I thought Galen's death when he's dying in Jyn's arms was great. Even K2SO dying, that was like, oh man, you know, he's a droid going out in style. And Chirrut Imwe's death was just, oh, that really got me. Because I don't know, I just found him a really cool character. I was surprised that Saw Gerrera got killed off as early as he did, but he made a big enough impact in the time that he was in the film. I mentioned there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. I don't know if you heard it, but after Jyn meets with the council and they reject her idea to start an attack, she comes out, and just before she meets Cassian over the tannoy, you can hear a voice summoning Captain Syndulla, referencing Hera Syndulla, from Star Wars Rebels. So I guess she's going to survive the TV series and become a general for the Alliance, which is pretty cool if you ask me. The Death Star in action was cool. Obviously, at this point, it was destroying planets a little more slowly than it seemed to be in A New Hope, and it destroys Alderaan in one big boom. The way the planet destruction was done was pretty nifty. I thought that was cool. And I also loved Bail Organa mentioning briefly about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought that was really cool. And I really hope Disney listened to both Ewan McGregor and the fans and consider doing an Obi-Wan spin-off. I'd be honest with you, I'd much rather see that than the upcoming Han Solo spin-off. But however, Rogue One was done really well, so who knows, maybe young Han Solo will be too. So they're just some of the spoilers I wanted to talk about. So let me know any Easter eggs you picked up on. And again, let me know what you thought of the film in the comments. I've seen the critics have kind of been divided on this, but I think this is a film for die-hard Star Wars fans. I think the general public will like it, but this is a treat for Star Wars fans. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and don't forget, for the latest entertainment news and reviews, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at BLMaiden. Entertainment Zone's also on Tumblr at entertainmentzone.tumblr.com. And until next time, guys, take care and see you soon.